Some beggars, story 13, the first day, and immediately and right away, while they were longing, much after the blind beggar, he answered and said, I am here, see I have come to you upon the wedding, and I give you a wedding present, which they call a drasha geschenk, that you be as old as I, because at first I blessed you with this, and now I give this to you as a full wedding gift, that you should live as long as I, and you think that I am blind. I'm not blind at all. Only all the time of the world does not count by me as much as an eye blink, and therefore he seemed blind. For he did not look at the world at all, since all the time of the world did not count by him as much as an eye blink. Therefore all the sights and visions of the world are not relevant to him, for I am very old, and I am yet completely young, and I have not yet begun to live at all, but yet I am very old. And then not I alone say this, for I have support for this from the great eagle, and approbation for this from the great eagle. I will tell you a story, and this is the words of the blind one. One time people went on many ships on the sea. A storm wind came and broke the ships, and the people were rescued. Nach, nachman, meuman. They came to one tower. They went up to the tower. They went up on the tower, and they found there all the foods and drinks and garments and whatever one needs. And all the good was there, and all the delights that are in the world. They answered and said that each one should tell an old story, and he remembers from his what he remembers from his first memory, i.e., what he remembers from the time memory began with him. There were old and young people there, and they honored the oldest one among them, that he should tell first. And he answered and said, what should I tell you? I remember even when they cut the apple from the branch, and no one at all knew what he was saying. But there were wise men there, and they said, certainly this is a very old story. Then they honored the second elder, and that he should tell. The second one answered, whoa, who was not as old as the first. The second one answered, who was not as old as the first. That is an old story and an expression of a man's man's. I remember that story too, but I remember even when the candle was burning, they answered and said there, this is an older story than the first. And it was a wonder to them that this second elder was younger than that this second elder was younger than the first, and remembers an older story than the first. Then they honored the third one, and that he should tell. The third one answered and said, who was yet younger. I remember back even when the construction of the fruit started, i.e. when the fruit started to take form. They answered and said, this is an even older story. The fourth one answered, who was even yet younger. I remember back even when they brought the seed to plant the fruit. Nanach, nachman, nachman. The fifth answered, who was even yet younger. I remember also the sages who were thinking and bringing out the seed. He answered the sixth, who was even yet younger, that he remembers also the taste of fruit before the taste entered into the fruit, before the taste entered into the fruit. Answered the seven, etc. And he said that he remembers also the smell of fruit before it enters the fruit. Answered the eighth and said that he remembers also the appearance of the fruit before it was drawn onto the fruit. And this blind beggar who was telling all this was then a child completely. And I was also there, and I answered and I said to them, I remember all these stories and I remember nothing at all. In ich gedenk gur nicht. In ich gedenk gur nicht. They answered and said, this is a much older story than all of them, and it was a big novelty to them that this child remembers more than all of them. In the midst of this came a great eagle, and knocked on the tower and said to them, cease from any longer being poor, return to your treasures and use your treasures. And he said to them that they should go out from the tower by way of their age, that whoever was older, he should go out first. He took them all out from the tower. He took out first the child, for in truth he was the eldest of them all. And likewise whoever was younger he brought out first, and the oldest one he brought out last, for whoever was younger was older, and the oldest of them was the youngest of all them. The great eagle replied to them, I will explain to you these stories that everyone told to you, to the one who's told that he remembers back when they cut the apple from the branch, means he remembers back even when they snipped away his navel, that even this matter that happened with him immediately after, at the time of birth, when they cut his umbilical cord, even this he remembers. And the second who said that he remembers back even when the candle was burning, means he remembers back even when he was in the pregnancy, that the candle was burning over his his head. For it says in the Gemara that when a child is in the mother's womb, a caliber is over his head, etc. And he who said that he remembers back, even when the fruits began to form, it is that he remembers back even when the body began to take form, i.e. at the time of formation of the fetus, and he who remembers at the time when they were bringing seeds to plant the fruit, it means he remembers back even when the drop was drawn down at the time of the mating, and he remembers the stages that they were bringing out the seed. It is that he remembers also when the drop was still in the brain, for the brains bring out the drop, and he who remembers the taste, it is the life force, and the smell, this is the spirit, and the appearance, this is the soul. And the child who said that he remembers nothing at all, it is because he is above all and remembers even what he was before life, spirit, soul, which is the aspect of nothing. And he said to them, go back to your ships, which are your bodies that were broken, which will return and be rebuilt. Now go back to them, and he blessed them into me. I, this blind beggar who was a child and who was telling all this, said the great eagle, you come with me, for you are like me, for you are very old, and yet, and still, for you are very old, and still you are very young, and still you have not begun to live at all, and despite this you are very old, and I am likewise so far, I am old and still I am young, etc. This shows that I have consensus from the great eagle, from that great eagle that I live long life as mentioned above. Now I give you my long life freely as a wedding present. A great celebration and a very great gladness was made there, and they were very happy. Nanach, nachma, meuman. 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 Nanach, nachma.